11th of September, Rabbi Levitt, Gemora.
Okay.
All right. So, very good. We are ready to go over here. As soon as we find out where we're holding. Yeah. Yeah, we got Ravina with the taking the thick pieces of wood. We spoke about that. And then oh yeah, this is what we were up to. We started this statement of Shmuel from the Gufa. Gufa Mar Shmuel Dinah Malchus Adina. And then Rava said something, and then Abaye said something. That's what we're doing. So let's, without further ado, let's go from there. This is on Kuf Yud Gimel Amid Beis, and it is where it says Gufa. Gufa is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines from the where the lines get wide, and the first word in that 7th line where the wide lines get wide is kusi. Then there's a dot, end of that, and then we go to gufa. Okay, Roy, you got the place. Welcome back, Roy.
Thank you. I've got the place in the Gemara, but not in. Welcome back, Phil.
You're welcome. Thanks. How are you doing?
So Baruch Hashem. Gufa. What's Gufa mean?
Gufa, we're going to go back to something that we spoke about.
Right.
We brought this statement before.
I've got it now, yes. I have it. Yeah. On the second paragraph on the right hand column, the Gemara returns to teaching cited earlier. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
We're on Kuf Yud Gimel Amid Beis, 7 lines, 7 wide lines down. In the middle of the line, Gufa.
It's 3b4 on the right hand side, the new paragraph. You got that?
Okay. And we're calling upon Roy to start the reading for today.
All right. The Gemara returns to its teaching cited earlier in 113a. Gufa, the text itself stated, Omar Shmuel, Shmuel said, Dina de Malchusa Dina. The law of the kingdom is the law. So that's the principle. And Rava proves it. Omar Rava. Omar Rava. Today, You may know this to be true, he said. V'kotali dikli v'gashri gushari avarinan alehu. All right. For they, that is the representative of the king, cut down palm trees without the consent of their owners to make bridges with them, and we go across the bridges. And the art scroll puts in that these trees would be treated as stolen property and hence banned from use, were it not for the law of the kingdom which provides for their confiscation. And then Rava's proof is challenged.
Okay, I'm looking for a Rashi over here. I don't see one. No. Okay, I guess we don't have it over here. We don't have anything yet.
No.
Okay, so Rav is bringing a proof to the fact that it is in fact the case. It is in other words, it is the halacha that dina the malchusa dina, which means that the law that the king says is the law. The Torah regards that as an obligation on the Jew to abide by that law. And over here, the question is not a question about whether the Jew has to abide by that law. That's not the issue. But the issue is that the king says, "Go cut down, go cut down Shmerel's trees over there and make a bridge out of it." Is that called gezel? Because if he was just acting as a private citizen and he stole the trees from Shmerel, now can Beryl have benefit from those trees? It's stolen property.
There's a note. Sorry.
So the issue over here is whether the king, whether in other words the question is whether we can use that bridge that the king took private property to make that bridge out of. Are we allowed to use that bridge, or is that making use of stolen property? Okay.
Yeah.
So Rava says that's the proof that the king's law is the law, because the truth is that that we don't refrain from walking across that bridge. Yeah, you wanted to say something, Roy?
No, it's okay. You covered it. You covered it. Thank you.
Okay, so that's Rava's proof. That's what Teda means. Teda means I'll bring you a proof to that what Shmuel says is the halacha. And now Abaya is challenging. Abaya says, maybe you don't have a proof, Rava. And we go to Lud to read Abaye.
And Lou, that's better.
I was muted. Thank you, Roy. Abaye, I'm sorry, Amar le Abaye. Abaye said to him, so he's speaking to Rava. V'dilma mishum de yaush, de yeush lehu mi naihu maraihu. But perhaps because that he gave up hope, the owner gave up hope of concerning the trees and retrieving them. Perhaps since the owner, when he sees the government cutting down his trees, he says, well, there they go. That's it. They're gone. I ain't getting them back. Maybe once he gives up hope, it's not considered stealing. I guess that's what it's saying. Amar Lay, he said to Abaye, that is, Rava said to Abaye, I lo dina de machusa dina hechi mi yaashe. Were it not that we have the law of the kingdom is the law, how would it be that he gave up hope? In other words, I think that it's what he's saying is, if the reason he gives up hope is because he knows that the government has the law behind them. If they don't have the law behind them, then he's going to say it's theft, and he's not going to give up hope.
Oh, okay. Let's take a look at Rashi. Rashi's got something to say over here about this exchange between Abaye and Rava. Dibra maskil heichi meyaishe. That's the first Rashi in our section, and it's a couple lines before the wide lines start in the Rashis. Couple lines before the wide lines in the Gemora start. If you go over from the Gemora lines and you go to Rashi, you'll see this Rashi Dibra maskil heichi meyashe.
Okay, heichi miyaishe, which is how does he despair? For 2 years, heichi miyaishe. Koloma, to say, mi haveyesh, who would be the one who is despairing? Haveyehu, that this is despair. Kedei have.
Here's by itself.
And then it says ve'ein kan. There's not here shinui reshus. There's no change of reshus. Because they're in the reshus arabim hain. The shinui. So there's no change of reshus because they're in the reshus arabim. The bridges are not in the private. They're in the reshus arabim. The hain, the shinui maseh, and there's no change, and that there is a change of the doing of it, because I guess he's cut them down and made bridges out of it. There is a change of that. There is a change. Nami leka. There also isn't. Kashta now nami now also the dekla mikro. They should collect from the palm trees originally that it was.
Okay. So let's go over this now. Right, we're discussing whether we have a proof over here that Dina de Malchusa Dina, that the law of the land gives the king. Does the Torah give the king, really, this is the issue, the Torah give the king the right to make the laws, and that law is the law that is a valid law?
Are we talking about a Jewish king?
No, I'm talking about a Jewish king.
No. So how can the Torah give? Oh, that the Torah's law would affect the Jewish citizen.
Ah, so now you want to know whether this din is din deraisa or it's a din derabanan. Perhaps this whole din that Shmuel is saying, that the law of the king is the law of land, is an ordinance from the rabbis of the Talmud. It doesn't really go back to the Torah. Truth to be told, did we bring where did we didn't yet try to prove from psukim in the Torah or in Tanakh or anywhere else that there is such a thing as dinah de malchusa dinah? Did we? I don't recall any such thing.
It just came up here.
But I don't see what the significance of it. Why? What does it matter?
Well, Roy's question is, what was Roy's question actually?
My question is that if the Torah is bringing down, well, I can't say the Torah is, but if there is a law for Jewish for Jewish people, how it can't be. You can't say it's not a law for non-Jewish people, is it? That's a question. But
the Torah doesn't have authority over non-Jewish people?
Right, that's what I mean. Yes, like that. Sort of like to give him powers, for example. So is a Torah able to say to a non-Jewish king that you are able to do this or not do that?
Okay, let's okay, that's a good question. Here, let's answer this question. Let's say that the Torah says that the king doesn't have a right to do this. He's got to pay the guy for his tree, right? He doesn't have a right just because he's a king. I'm going to come and cut down your trees over here because the country needs a bridge over here, sir. And that maybe the Torah says that the king's not allowed to do that. Now, if that would be so, then the king's not.
King.
Yeah, non-Jewish king. The Torah has many halachos that here. One second over here. The question is, we're not commanding the Jewish king to do anything, right? Maybe this is the point that needs to be clarified. We're saying, what does the Jews' conduct have to be in the event that the king steals the tree from somebody and makes a bridge with it? Is a Jew allowed to walk across that bridge? That's the question. A goy, he's going to listen to what the Torah says. Well, he should listen to what the Torah says. We're not talking about the goy. We're talking about a Jew. Rava's proof is Avrinan Alayhu. We walk across that bridge, says Rava. We do that. Rava says, I walk across that bridge. So Rava is now proven that it must be that the Torah, or maybe it's not coming from the Torah, maybe it's coming from Chazal, give the authority of a king to steal trees and make a bridge for it because the country needs a bridge. Right? That's the question. Does he have a right to do that? Is it called gezel or is it not called gezel? That's the question. If we say dinah de malchusa dinah, so then the king, his decision is that that's what needs to be done, and therefore it's not called gezel. But if he doesn't have a right to do that, so then what he did was gezel. And if so now there's a question: are we able to walk across that bridge or not? or are we violating, or we're not supposed to watch that bridge? We're not allowed to make usage of property that a goy stole from a Jew, right?
Mm.
Okay.
Actually, as a side issue, the modern thing here is Pinui Binui. Is that right? Did I say it correctly? Pinui Binui, where the government is like it's going to do in our house, raise the whole place.
That's not a government. That's a private guy wanting to knock down the house to build a bigger house in its place instead of just the Tama 38 just goes to an existing building and extend. This is knocking it down to build another building in its place, to evacuate and rebuild. Is Pinu and Vinu. You're talking about something that would be called in the States eminent domain, that the government has the right to take away places. In fact, that's happening by us, and it may be happening by you too around there, where they take away part of your building in order to build the light rail. They take part of your sidewalk away to use that for the light rail.
Uh-huh. Interesting. Do they pay the people? Do they pay the people for it? No.
No, I don't think so.
They give you an extra room or something like that. This is for Tama 38. They give you an extra room.
Well, that's the contractor doing it, because he's building it, he's getting extra space, and he has to give you something for it. Or they give you a parking spot or money or something. But that's a relationship between the builder and you, not the city. The government has the right to do, whatever they want. If they want to build, something in a particular place, they want to build a highway, they just go knock down your house to build a highway across it.
Mm-hmm.
The people that live in that building, they don't have to agree to this builder who comes in and says this is what he wants to do. Right? It's your property. He can't do anything to your property. He's a builder. He's trying to make money. But you can tell him sorry. And as a matter of fact, here in Neve Yaakov, it's interesting to note that in Neve Yaakov, all the Rabbanim, they have a proclamation that they've been putting up in the last few months, that all the Rabbanim in Neve Yaakov, as far as I know, all of them, all the main Rabbanim, have all agreed that they issued a statement that in their view, it's not in the interests of the residents of Neve Yaakov to have these guys come in and do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My understanding is that each individual building, the owners of the building have the right to decide whether they want to do it or not.
Yes.
But also,
if you get a majority, I think of 65%, I'm not too sure what it is, then it goes ahead, despite any objectors.
Right, but also the Tama regulates the building process, and the adding of the additional room is mandated by the government. It's not up to the builder.
They often don't do a good job anyway, apparently.
No, it depends. I have my cousins had theirs done, and they're very happy with it.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a side issue, I suppose. I don't know. It might not be.
Well, here we're talking about, in other words, the king has made a decision that he has instructed his workers, his servants, to go and cut down a private citizen's tree.
Mm-hmm.
Jew or non-Jew, I'm not getting into that. Certainly, we're talking about a Jew's trees. Maybe we're also talking about a goy's trees as well. Maybe we'll discuss that soon. I don't know, but certainly a Jew's trees. So is another Jew allowed to make use of that bridge, which is stolen property? Or do we say that because on the face of it, right, it's stolen property.
Mm-hmm.
It's stolen, right? Unless you want to say he paid for it, but it seems as though that's not the story. That's not what Rava is bringing a proof to. He's saying that we walk across this bridge. We don't have any concern about walking across this bridge, in spite of the fact that the king did not pay the guy for it. The guy didn't want to have his trees taken away from him against his will, and nevertheless, we don't have any problem in walking across that, driving across that bridge. So therefore, it must be that whether it's the Torah, whether it's the Rabbanim, whether it's Chazal, that they give the authority of the king to do this, and that will be a proof that what the king says is what goes, and it's not called gezel. It's not called gezel. It's called the king's right to do it. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
I think we should be clear there. I mean, there are 7 Noahide laws that these are laws that the Torah dictates to non-Jews what they must do. So we definitely have a principle that the Torah can tell a non-Jew what to do.
yeah, but I'm saying this is not really the issue over here.
No, but I'm just answering Roy's question, because Roy was saying, how can the Torah tell a non-Jew what to do? And I'm saying that clearly it can.
And we said that. We said that the Torah does command the non-Jew not to steal. True. Right. Okay. So now it would seem that Rava has a proof. But rather that Rava, it seems that Rava has a proof. But Abaye is saying, Rava, you don't have a proof. And Rashi's explaining what is Abaye's basis for disproving Rava. And what Rashi is saying over here is that he's making 2 arguments over here. Now we know that when it comes to Gezel, we know that there's such a thing that even though a Goslin gozels something from the Nigzal, from the victim, if the victim is Me'ayesh, he gives up hope. Now, if he gives up hope, does that mean that it's now permissible for anybody to make use of that stolen item, for a Jew to make use of that stolen item? No, because the rule is Gezel Kedi Lokani. Yeush Kedi Lokani. That simply by the owner giving up on retrieving the item, that is not enough to allow somebody else to make usage of that item.
What more needs to be done by him?
Okay, so there's a second step. There's Yeush. There's Yeush, plus there has to be a Shinui Rishus, a change of possession,
Right.
a change of possession. So for example, if the thief would sell the item to a third party, so if the guy has already been Me'ayesh, and now there's a change of possession out of the hands of the Goslin. The Goslin will never be able to be Kona it. He won't be able to make it his own. But if he sells it to somebody else or gives it to somebody else as a present, so then that third person in the chain, now, even though the Goslin gosled, but with Yeush and Shinrishus, now the third party can make a acquisition of that item that used to belong to the person that owned it. And now he will be allowed to make use of that item, and it won't be forbidden for him to use somebody else's item because he's now acquired that item. So
if he makes a change also to the item itself, he alters it somehow.
Okay, that's something. That's the next thing that Rashi talks about.
Ah.
That's the next thing that Rashi talks about. Rashi talks. So let's. Okay, so in other words, Abaye is saying to Rava, Rava, you have no proof. Why? Because why? Maybe the owner was Miyayesh, because he despaired from ever retrieving his trees, and there's a Shini Rishus now. There's a change of hands of possession of the item. So Gezel and Shini Rishus would allow a Jew to walk across the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Abaye. So in other words, even if the king had no right to do what he did, and even if we regard him as a Goslin, nevertheless, says Abaye, we could still walk across the bridge, because even though the king was a Goslin, he had no authority to steal somebody else's thing just because he's a king, and just because the country needs to have a bridge over there. So what? That doesn't justify him to be a Goslin. But nevertheless, even though he was a Goslin, but with Yeush and Shini Rishus, we can walk across the bridge. That's what Abaye's argument is. That's the first explanation that Rashi gives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeush works together with Shini Rishus, and therefore we could walk across the bridge. The second thing Rashi says, though, he mentions this matter of Shinui Maseh. Like you said, that the king is making a alteration of the tree that he stole, and even though he stole the tree, if he makes a foundational alteration in the tree, and he makes it into a bridge, that would seem to be a pretty foundational alteration of the tree. So that Shinui Maisa would also be sufficient for to allow the Jew to undo the ownership of the original owner, as a result, and now allow a Jew to walk across that bridge. So what does Rashi say about this? Rashi has a few comments about this, though. As a matter of fact, what we have to point out is that Rashi's comment is not directed at explaining the challenge that Abaye made to Rava's proof, but actually, if you're closely watching what the words that Rashi's explaining are, Rashi's explaining the words that that Rava said back to Abaye to defend his proof. Rava, right? We got to be clear about what happened over here. Step one was that Rava brought a proof that din malchusa is in fact a proper din, and the king is not a goslin, because how could we walk across the bridge? Abaye challenges that proof, step two, and he says, no, you got no proof, because even though the king is a goslin, we could walk across the bridge because of Yeush. And then Rava is answering back Abaye, and he is disproving his disproof and reinstating his proof by saying that how is the Yeush going to help over here? Even if this person that got his trees stolen from, even if he was Miyash, how is that going to help the Jew to walk across the bridge? It's not going to help. And Rashi explains why it's not going to help. As far as the Shini Rishus goes, Rashi mentioned something about the fact that he says, Ein kan Shini Rishus. This is not called a case of Shini Rishus. Not called a case of changing the hands of ownership over here from the Nigzal to the Goslin to the person who wants to make an acquisition in this stolen property. Because why? Because Shebirshus Harabim Hein. That acronym stands for Rishus Harabim. It's in the public domain. And so therefore, says Rashi, it's not a case of Shinu Rishus. Now, that's the first explanation. So in other words, Yeush is not going to go together with Shinu Rishus in this case, because there's no Shinu Rishus, because Rashi says it's in the Rishus Harabim. And for some reason, which we would need to explain, but we're not going to explain here right now, not yet, since it's in the Rishus Harabim, it doesn't qualify to be a case of Shinu Rishus. So says Rashi. His words need explanation. But that's what he's saying. And so therefore, says Rava, you cannot say that we could walk across the bridge because of Yeush and Shinu Rishus, because there's no Shinu Rishus. And therefore, the only reason it must be that we could walk across the bridge is because that we do not regard, we say that the king has a right to do it, and he's not a Goslin. His word is the law, and the law that he makes it has a power to it. It has and therefore it's not called Gezel. It's called eminent domain, right? That's what they call it in America, right?
What?
It's called eminent domain. Although I think in America, at least, the government does pay the people for the houses in order to make the freeway in California. That's what I was told. I don't know if it's true or not.
Yes, it's definitely true.
But the amount they pay them isn't necessarily the amount you can sell for necessarily. That's another issue. Who determines?
And they also and who says that they wanted to get their house taken away from them either?
It's actually done,
them, right?
It's actually done very fairly. We actually had it happen to us. We had a property that they built a freeway through, and they negotiate with you, and they get assessments of the value in the public area. It's very fair in California.
Okay. So so in other words, you were happy to not have to you were happy to move, in other words, because you got a fair price for the house.
We owned a property.
Oh, you were living there anyway.
It wasn't our house. We didn't live there.
Oh, I see.
We were very happy to sell because they gave us a fair price.
Yeah. But if somebody is living there, though, I don't know how happy they're going to be to have to move out of their house. But
Yeah,
that's another matter.
That could be a problem.
Yeah. Okay. So that's point number one. We got 3 more minutes, and the second point that Rashi says over here is is that it's also not called Shinui Maisa. Now Rashi's explaining the view of Rava in defense of his own proof. Rava is going to say even Rava is going to say no. It cannot be that the king is regarded as a Goslin, because if he would be regarded as a Goslin, then there's not Yeush and Shinu Rishus to justify a Jew to walk across the bridge. And number two, it's not regarded as Shinui Masa either. It's not regarded as though he made a foundational change in the nature of what he stole. Rashi says, because the Hashtanami Guva the Diklat Bikre, even now they call it the palm tree. They call it the palm tree. In other words, I would have thought that they call it a bridge, but Rashi says they still will call it a maybe they'll call it a bridge made out of palm trees. So it still retains its identity as a palm tree, and therefore it's not regarded as a significant alteration in the in halacha in the thing that was stolen, and therefore it will not be sufficient to say that a Jew could acquire it. And so therefore, the only way that we could justify walking across that bridge must be that from the outset, we got to say that the king is not a Goslin. And that is Rava's defense of his proof. Okay. Right. Okay. So that's the exchange over here at this point. Fine. And with this, we will conclude.
Goyach.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Have a
Rabbi.
great day, everybody.
You too.
And welcome back again, Alan. Baruch
Welcome
Hashem.
back, Alan. Happy to have you back.
All right. See you all tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem.
Mirza Hashem, Bezrat Hashem, yeah.
Bye.